All right, everyone. So, question of the day. What is one thing every producer likes? We'll start with you in the front. Golden doodles. You're so cute. Yeah, I guess, but more related to producers. All right, let's go with you over there. Achieving your dreams. Not quite the answer I'm looking for. Think more like what a producer might use or need. All right, you over there. Yoga pants. Yes. Yes, everybody does like that, including producers. Yeah, we do. But no, that's not what I'm looking for. The answer is free VSTs. And I mean, people like free stuff just in general, but as a producer, especially if you've been producing for a while or even are just starting out, it gets pretty expensive to buy a lot of these different VSTs, whether that's something like an Omnisphere or different contact libraries. So I thought it'd be cool to just go through my 5 favorite free VSTs, and you can download regardless of what DAW you're using, whether it's Ableton, Logic, FL Studio, Reason, GarageBand. Does anybody use that? But without further ado, let's get started with this video. All right, so the first VST on the list, it's just an awesome VST. I can't even believe this one is free, to be honest, is something called Labs. And essentially what Labs is it's a VST that allows you to, using their website, you're able to go and pick from a variety of different sounds. So they have pianos, pads, guitars, choirs, just pretty much any sound you can think of. They'll have it on their website. The only kind of annoying thing is you have to individually pick them out and download them, but at the same time that's kind of a benefit, so you just don't download sounds you don't even want to use. But all the sounds are really high quality and completely free to use. So I'm actually, rather than just saying these are good sounds and whatnot, I'm gonna just start making a beat. All right, so I've got Labs open here and I'm using the soft piano. The one downside about this one is it's not super customizable, the sound. Like you can do a few effects here, like right here, which just kind of distorts it a little bit. And then there's also like a reverb effect as well, but the sounds are really good and they are free. So just to get started, I'm going to go ahead and lay down some chords. Alright, so the second plugin, and this one is relatively simple, but it's really an awesome plugin, and that is Isotope Vinyl. And you might have heard of this, maybe not. You might be familiar with like RC20. That's what I use personally on pretty much all of my beats, but after using this Isotope Vinyl plugin, I'll definitely have to throw that in a bit more just because it's really simple, but the effect that it has on your sound is just, it's awesome. It's especially if you want to kind of get like more of a sampled type sound, or you want something to sound a little bit older, or you want to take some of the low end out of a sound. It's really good for that. So I'm going to use that actually on the keys that I just laid down. Alright, so right here I have Isotope Vinyl up. When you first open it up, one weird thing is this, you'll hear like this static noise, which you hear right here. And all you have to do to get rid of that is just turn down the dust. So you can have some dust on it if you want, which will give it kind of this effect, like a staticky effect. But I like to turn that off personally. The other cool thing is you can kind of choose what year you want your sound to sound like it's from. And so basically it just removes the low end the lower you go. So like 1930 sounds really like kind of empty. So I'll just play that real quick and then I'll compare it with like a 1980 or something like that. And I think that's just because back in the day, obviously their speakers weren't that great, so you wouldn't hear a lot of bass or low end. So totally different. But my favorite one is this warp effect. I like to turn that up a little bit and I'll just show you what it does. It does what the name says, which is kind of just warp the sound. There's like a lo-fi effect here, a spin down, tons of different things. You just kind of got to play around with it, but a really versatile VST, and because it's free, I mean, pretty awesome. All right, so number 3, and this one is, especially if you're into sound design or you're trying to get into sound design, this one's probably gonna be your favorite one, and that is Vital. And some of you guys might have heard of it. The really cool thing about this is it's very customizable. You're able to kind of create your own sounds if you'd like, versus just downloading certain VST where it's just one keyboard or whatever. You can really go in and you have a lot of control to create things that you think sound good. In addition to that, they have a bunch of different presets you can play with, which are all really good, especially if you're into, like, I guess, electronic music. I would say most of the presets are kind of in that realm, except for a few pads and leads in there. And they also do have some good bass sounds, but because you can kind of tweak things and change things up, you can totally modify the sounds to fit whatever genre whatever genre you're working in. So yeah, definitely check that one out. It's a really cool plugin, and I'm actually going to use that for the next part of this beat. So this is Vital right here, and there's tons of different things you guys can do in here. As I mentioned, you can kind of just go and create your own sounds. If you just click right here, you can look at all the different presets that they have, and they have quite a bit. And then if you don't like something about the preset, you can go in here and change like a bunch of different effects, or you can go to the effects tab, add some reverb, delay, filter, really just tons of different things. And I could make like a whole video on all the things you can do in here, but because this is the top 5 VSTs, I'm not going to. Just tons of freedom in this VST, and so I'm just going to use it. I already picked out this distant majestic lead, and I'm just going to add a little top melody to the chords that I laid down initially. So let's hear how that sounds now. All right, so the 4th VST, and this one's actually a few VSTs rolled into one, is Complete Control by Native Instruments. You have synths in there, different pianos, drum loops, kind of just like sound effects. I think in total there's over 2,000 sounds or so, 16 different synths, and it's just a bundle of a bunch of different stuff. So depending on what type of beat you're making, you can really kind of draw from a bunch of different places. And honestly, you could probably just use it on its own to create a full beat and get a bunch of really good sounds. And yeah, just to show you, I'll show you this one cool key sound that I found within it, and I'll just layer the chords that I already have laid down for this beat. All right, so here I have the Contact player open. This is for Complete Control by Native Instruments, and here's some of the sounds that you get within there. There's some other effects as well, but I'm just going to be using these hybrid keys within here. Here you have like a bunch of weird, like, kind of toy sounds. Over here there's a bunch of different drum sounds that you can use as well, and then here is the different types of keys. I'm just using the hybrid keys right here, and I'm just going to layer the chords I already have down. Alright, so before I show you guys the 5th and final plugin, and this one is a really cool one that I think you guys are going to like a lot. I'm just going to throw some drums on this, as that's what the next VST is going to be used for. Alright, so the fifth and final VST, but not the worst by any means, and honestly a really dope plugin. It was just released relatively recently, and that is Diablo by Semantics. And basically what this VST does is it kind of just makes shit hit harder. So for example, if you throw it on your 808, it kind of like distorts the sound and like kind of just, I don't even know how to put it. It just sounds better. It hits way harder, and it doesn't sound shitty like a lot of different distortion tools where it kind of just takes all the low end out the bass. I feel like the bass keeps its low end, adds some high end to kind of punch through the mix, but just fits really well within the beat, and you have tons of control over it. So I've got Diablo Lite opened up on my desktop, and as you can see, there's like this glowing lava thing in the middle, which is, it looks cool. So that's a pro for sure. And then you have the punch and the clip knob, as well as some knobs down here as well. What the punch does is, it's kind of like self-explanatory. It kind of just makes it punch a bit harder. And what the clip does, I believe, is it's like makes it so it clips. And it kind of gives it more of a distorted sound. So I'll just show you guys exactly what it sounds like on this beat. Specifically on this 808 that I have. You can also soften it. Alright, so that is pretty much the video, guys. Thank you for checking this out. Please leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more videos in the future. I've really been enjoying this YouTube stuff. Channel's just getting started, so going to be tons of different improvements and things that I'm going to be doing on here. But anyways, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Peace.